Each number, you find you're sinking into a warm and relaxing haven in your mind.
Just relax. Sit down. Relax.
You will do exactly as my voice tells you. Hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell.
In a previous episode of Hypnosis in the Media, we presented a television special titled Psychic Follies. Part of that special was a performance by hypnotist Tamara Rand.
Whether you're in your seats there or you're sitting with me here, I'd like you to find a point to concentrate on, perhaps a light in the distance.
At the time, Tamara was a very well-known psychic and hypnotist with offices in Hollywood, California. But there was much more to her story. Tamara Rand grew up in Wisconsin and graduated from the University of Wisconsin with a degree in psychology. Soon after college, she opened a local business offering her services as a psychic, palm reader, and hypnotist. She called this the Tamara Rand Institute, though it was sometimes referred to as the Rand Hypnosis Institute or simply the Rand Institute. With her glamorous looks, Rand quickly achieved success as well as a long list of devoted clients. In the late 1970s, she moved to Los Angeles, where she opened a second Tamara Rand Institute, and here her career boomed. As a Tinseltown psychic, she soon had many clients and began appearing regularly as a guest on talk shows. It was during this time that she appeared on Psychic Follies.
Hypnosis has been successfully used to stop smoking, in control overeating, and as an anesthesia in some medical operations. However, tonight, for the first time, we have the opportunity to explore the imaginative and entertaining possibilities of this phenomenon. Unhampered by the restrictions of broadcast television, Home Box Office brings you an uninhibited pay television exclusive. It's my pleasure to introduce one of America's most outstanding and accomplished hypnotists. Please welcome Tamara Rand.
So early in 1981, Rand was, at the age of 32, an extremely successful psychic, but she clearly had ambitions to achieve even more. She was waiting for that big break that would make her a nationally recognized celebrity psychic, and she had every expectation that, with the right opportunity, this could happen. Later that year, immediately after the attempted assassination of President Reagan, she came forward and declared that several months before she had predicted the shooting and that her prediction had been recorded on a TV show.
It's something very real and very shocking and amazing that you're going to hear in the next few minutes. And Tamara Rand is our guest, of course. So where did this take place? We're going to see the tape in just a second.
This took place on a show called Maurice and Company. It's Dick Maurice, and it's with cable news, and it's out of Las Vegas, and it was done January 6th.
Ladies and gentlemen, stop what you're doing and watch this tape. You'll be amazed.
What about the zero factor? What about the new President of the United States, President Reagan? Do you see any problems with any kind of threats on his life because of the zero factor?
Well, I feel as though he's in a crisis cycle only in two times in this next year. That I feel at the end of March, perhaps the last week of March, and the first few days of April, that too is a crisis time. Well, I feel the chest area, which might imply a stroke. It might imply some sort of heart attack or heart failure. I even hate to say it, to be very frank with you, but then I also feel something like that, a thud, and in my mind, I can see a little scenario, and it came first in my dreams right after he was elected, and it had to do with a gun, and it had to do with shots all over the place, and it had to do with with that thud, instead of being a stroke as I initially felt, I felt it might actually be an assassination attempt or a shot to the president. I get a, like me, I get a little blonde look or a fair-haired look. And I know, I feel it's just one person if indeed it happens. And I really, frankly, hope I'm wrong.
If something should happen to the president, do you have an initial?
Well, the only thing that I could even attach to it is the name Humley and maybe Jack or something like that.
This is a statement from KTNV television. I believe that is where you taped this interview, is that correct? In Las Vegas?
Las Vegas in Channel 13.
General Manager Ed Quinn has said, and I quote, "To the best of our knowledge, the Tamara Rand interview aired this morning on ABC's Good Morning America and NBC's Today Show was never aired on KTNV prior to today. We have reason to believe the interview was taped on March 31st, the day after the assassination attempt."
On Monday, when this began to come down about the president, Mr. Maurice called me right away and he said, "Tamara, I want an exclusive on this. Remember what you've said? We want you to re-articulate exactly what it was you said."
The tape that we just saw at the beginning of this program, I believe you were able to see it out there as well in our Los Angeles bureau. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was that the tape when he had you re-articulate your feelings that was just done on March 31st? Or is that the tape that you tell us was done on January 6th of this year?
I believe that's the tape that was January 6th.
All right, let us now go to General Manager Ed Quinn. He is on the phone with us. He is the General Manager of KTNV.
To the best of my knowledge, it appears that that program was taped on March 31st.
3 days ago.
Yeah, today's the 2nd, the day after the assassination attempt. When this interview aired today on Good Morning America and on the Today Show, it was seen by some of the crew, and when they saw the date on there of January 6th, they said that wasn't an interview that was taped on January the 6th, that was an interview that was taped on the 31st of March.
But that wasn't even the same crew.
Pardon?
Mr. Quinn, it wasn't the same crew.
Well,
So
it was...
how could they know about the first shooting if they weren't there either?
Well, there was a portion of the crew that was the same. The director who was in charge of the production and also the audio man.
In with Tamara Rand to do the taping. It was our understanding that we would be doing a 5-minute segment first in which there would be a reenactment of sorts concerning a discussion that Tamara had made a prediction concerning an assassination attempt against President Reagan. This was March 31st, the day after the assassination attempt. On Thursday, when we saw the video on Good Morning America and the Today Show, I was outraged because it was the video we'd done. It was taped March 31st, and now it had a super on it that said January 6th, taped January 6, 1981, and that is not correct.
Gentlemen, were any of you or all of you involved on the taping on January 20th?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
All of
indeed,
you.
we were.
All of us.
What about a taping on January 6th?
January 6th tape, we know for a fact that Tamara was not even present in the studio for that taping session.
All right, and you said the first time that she taped a program in January, she was very nice to us. When you say the first time in January, were you referring to the 6th or the 20th?
I'm referring to the 20th because that is the only time I have ever seen Tamara Rand before Tuesday in our studio. And I have run audio on the Dick Maurice show, every show that's been done in our studio with the exception of 1 week, and she wasn't on that week either.
Live this morning with us in our studios in Burbank this morning, and I can't decide whether I want to begin with why or how in the world you thought you were going to get away with it, Mr. Maurice.
Well,
how did
good
you
morning.
think you'd get away with it?
I don't think I'd never really thought about it. It all happened so quickly. You asked about why. It was because I was trying to help out a friend. I really didn't even know what was happening until I was on my way to the television studio. My producer, Gary Greco, and Tamara Rand had talked it all out, and they more or less came up with a plan.
How soon after the shooting of the president did Ms. Rand, in fact, contact you and your producer?
Believe it or not, I was writing my newspaper column when the telephone rang, and it was Tamara Rand on the telephone. I learned that the president had been shot from Tamara Rand, who had said at that point that she'd made the prediction on the show. Well, a lot of psychics have made predictions on my television show, and so it wasn't that unusual. In the beginning, I really thought she had made the prediction on the TV show, and it wasn't until we had examined the tape fully that we realized, and she, by the way, was already on her way to Las Vegas to be on my national radio program and to tape some things for Cable News Network. But it wasn't until after we reviewed the tape, until she was standing in my home, did we know the fact that she did not exactly ever make that prediction on my show.
Well, let's be specific. She said that she predicted in the phony interview that the president was in danger sometime at the end of March or the first few days of April, that he would be, she thought, shot in the chest, that the assassin would be a sandy-haired radical, but he wouldn't look like one, and that his name might be something like, Jack Homley. How much of that had you ever heard before March 30th?
I never heard any of that before March 30th.
She claims that she was simply re-articulating predictions she'd made before. How specific was she before?
Totally untrue. She never made that prediction on my radio or television shows.
I called Dick Maurice, and I said to him, do you remember if I made a prediction like this because everything's happening? Didn't I make it on your show? He said, absolutely. He said, I know you did. I was told by both Dick Maurice and Gary Greco to come to Las Vegas. They called my secretary. They asked me to come. When Kelly Lang asked if I had the tape, I told her that she should check with Dick Maurice as to which tape. Dick Maurice told me, and so did Gary Greco, if they couldn't find a documented tape, then they would have one of those inserts at the bottom that would say reenactment or dramatization of the past prediction.
Why didn't you tell Kelly that that was a dramatization on the morning you appeared on this program last week?
Because I didn't know. I've never seen, I don't get their cable station. I had never seen the tape or the past tape.
You didn't see it the morning it was played before your interview with Kelly?
I didn't see it the morning it was played before my interview with Kelly.
She telephoned me. I was the first I learned of it when she telephoned. She said, I made the prediction on your show. And at first I believed her because I do a late night radio show. We have 3 psychics on a week. So they come a dime a dozen all the time. The public seems to want them. So I actually believed in the beginning that she had made the prediction on the show. I looked at the entire tape. My producer looked at the tape. There was no prediction. No prediction. If anything, she's saying nothing's going to happen to Reagan. Well, she walks through the door in my house, and I said to her, Tamara, there is no prediction on the tape. She said, I know that, dummy. She said, I know what I say and what I don't predict. She said, but I need a favor. Right before the radio show, I'm up showering. The producer walks in and says to me, we're going to phony a tape. We go into the fake broadcast. I give her the tape. She runs back to L.A., makes dubs of the tapes, hands them out to Cotton Candy, to every network. Everybody has the tapes. They run. The next thing you know, it just keeps like a psychic Watergate. You keep getting deeper and deeper. I keep defending her. I keep saying the tape's legitimate. Finally, at break Saturday, I'm throwing up all during this. I'm having bad ulcer attacks. I can't go on with it.
It's said that all publicity is good publicity, but this didn't prove to be the case for Tamara Rand.
Time now for this week's Video Vault. Last week's story was about a woman who named Tamara Rand, whose dealings with Las Vegas did not end well. That same description holds for this week, only instead of 1975, we're talking about 1981 and a different Tamara Rand.
Who has contact.
This Tamara Rand was nationally known as a psychic, and on January 6, 1981, she taped a guest appearance on entertainment columnist Dick Maurice's TV talk show. Then on March 30th, an incident that shocked the nation.
Here's President Reagan waving, right arm up in the air. Suddenly, everybody ducks. Mike Deaver's down. Everybody's down. 3 policemen jump on top of the assailant, wrestle him to the ground. Guns are out. Secret Service men and Metropolitan Police have drawn their guns.
A couple of days later, Maurice and Rand released segments said to be from the January 6 taping that got national attention.
I feel upset about him. I feel as though in July he's under danger. And also, I must tell you that I feel at the end of March, perhaps the last week of March, and the first few days of April.
Rand appeared to have foreseen the assassination attempt.
and it had to do with a gun, and it had to do with shots all over the place.
News 3's Holly Eccles looked into it. The microphone placement was slightly different in the Reagan segment. She went to the general manager of the station where the show was recorded.
Holly, I spoke with the 5 crew members who were involved in the actual taping of the show, the director, the camera people, the sound people, and so on. And when we viewed the tape that ran on the Today Show, they told me to a person that that tape was done on March 31st, the day after the assassination attempt, and not on January 6th as the super appeared.
At first, an indignant Maurice claimed the GM was lying.
Now let me tell you one of the reasons why Mr. Quinn has said this, and this is the corporation canceled all of their advertising.
But a couple of days later, he confessed on the front page of The Sun. Tamara Rand's career as a psychic ended as the president recovered.
What are you going to do when you get home?
Sit down.
Well, President Reagan went on to serve 2 full terms. Dick Maurice passed away in 1988, and Tamara Rand was never heard from on the national stage again. Michelle?
After the publicity and the hoax had settled down, she next resurfaced in October '81 when she filed a $10 million lawsuit. It's not known what became of that lawsuit. No further reports about it appeared in the media. In fact, Rand herself then disappeared almost entirely from the public eye, apart from occasional references to the 1981 hoax. One can only assume that being associated with one of the most infamous examples of psychic fraud was not good for her career.
Next time on Hypnosis in the Media.
When I count to 3, that's all that you will remember about this session.
Thanks for watching until the end. If you want to see more, just hit the subscribe button.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hypnosis in the Media. I'm Meg Register, a certified clinical hypnotherapist, as well as an advisor to the series. If you're interested in learning more about hypnosis, I welcome you to contact me for a free phone consultation to find out if hypnotherapy can work for you.